The first dilemma is from Anonymous. Hello, Jordan. This is a long story, so bear with me. This goes back a few years, like 2018. This girl, let's call her A, 18, that I had a situationship, long distance, but we spoke a lot of meeting in real life, that ended badly recently, with was my friend for years. We didn't speak much at first, but when we did, it was like we never stopped. One day, she decided to block me, but made an excuse that she was sad and was eventually gonna unalive herself, and blocking me would make me hate her. I still have screenshots if you don't believe me. I went to her best friend and she told me she blocked every guy friend she had because she had a boyfriend, and apparently he didn't like me the most out of the rest of her friends. Okay, let me go ahead and stop right there because this is a very long dilemma and I don't want to skip anything. That is a major red flag. If somebody's blocking you for pretty much no reason at all, or at least that's how you made it seem, if they're blocking you and then not giving you an explanation behind it, even though you were very, very close prior to that, that's not really somebody that you want in your life. Right there, I would have just personally let her go. If she blocked me, then that's the end of that. But for you, I understand that if you have that strong of a connection with her, you might not be as willing to let her go. Now also, it's worth noting, and I want to just say this for everybody watching this, if you have a girlfriend, I personally think it's a little strange to request that your partner blocks all of their opposite sex friends. I believe that it's a little insecure of you to do that. That's just me personally. I would not do that, but that's just me though. You do you, but I don't really think that that's a recipe for a strong, healthy, and sustainable relationship, because relationships have to be founded upon trust. That is the essence of relationships, because relationships need communication, but in order to effectively communicate, you have to trust each other. So I feel like once that trust is gone, the relationship is already on its last legs, whether you know it or not. But anyways, I let it go easily because I know she is happy and okay with that person at that time. Now we skip all the way to October of last year. She unblocks me and I ignore her for a while, and rightfully so, until she looks at my Instagram story. She eventually slides into my DMs and she asks if she knows me. It's obvious she does, bro. So I sarcastically say, no, I don't think you do. Well, pretty much since then, we both had some types of feelings for each other, and she had it first. I tell her that we shouldn't date because you lied to me about blocking me, and that I didn't think she was fully over her ex. On top of that, let me tell you, this girl was messed up to say the least. She smokes weed, she vapes, she drinks, she has bad mental health disorders. She overall is just a lost soul. I tell her all of this, and she tells me that she is self-aware of how she's treated people, and that she's trying her best to get better because she knows something is wrong with her. I tell her that I want to help her. After that time, we argued a lot and I was very mean and toxic to her. Every time she was telling me something that was most likely true, I just kept denying it and insulting her in the process. Okay, right there, I already see where this is going, but clearly you messed up. You messed up not just by being so mean to her, but by allowing her back into your life in the first place when you knew that you still had this pent-up resentment. All this is you trying to take out all of that pent-up anger that you developed throughout the years toward her on her now that she's back in your life. You're trying to even the playing field. You're trying to get your get back. And it's not going to make you feel better, which I'm assuming that you probably already realized that. But for anybody who's in that sort of situation, if somebody has wronged you in the past, it's best to not let them back in your life. Maybe you have a conversation with them, maybe you hear them out and hear their side of the story so that you're not making assumptions, but generally speaking, it's best to not let them become a permanent fixture in your life at that point, because you're always going to have some sort of subconscious barrier between the two of you, whether you know it or not. So just be aware of that. This is also why I think that it's generally not a good idea to get with somebody who has wronged you in the past, even if they're a partner, a former partner of yours. If it was an ex-girlfriend who cheated on you, an ex-boyfriend who cheated on you, or abused you mentally, physically, however else, I don't really think that it's a good idea to get back with that person. I realize now that it was wrong of me to be like that, but if she wanted a relationship, she had to become a better version of herself. And if I was going to date and eventually marry this girl sometime in the future when we did hit it off IRL, I didn't want anything to do with a druggie or just a bad person in general. Alright, so I also want to comment on that. So I feel like there's this big problem in today's dating world where people generally operate from the scarcity mindset, and so they find broken people and they try to fix them, or they see the potential in them without paying attention to who that person actually is. Now, this girl has shown you who she is time and time again. Even if she changes, you're still subconsciously going to see her the same way that you used to because of all of the history that you guys have developed. And because of that, she's going to act in accordance with the way that you believe that she should act. Not because you're in control of her, but because you're going to subconsciously project this onto her, and clearly she's not in the right state of mind to even be dating or to be putting herself out there. So it's best to not try to fix somebody or see them as your personal project. And I understand that you probably weren't viewing it like that at the time, but retrospectively, you can probably see that you were thinking about the potential of who she could be, and by extension, who you both could be together, as opposed to who she was at that point in time. But anyways, months passed by, and I'm still very toxic toward her. I knew she was hiding something. I didn't know if it was my past experiences or if something is wrong with me, but I had a feeling this girl was lying about every little thing, even when she eats. I'll admit, what I'm about to say right now, I probably deserve. I never asked her out, and I kind of led her on. This behavior of mine went on for months at a time, and eventually I cheated on her. But we weren't together, and I hate using that as an excuse. Well, to be fair, that's not cheating, but if it was implied that you guys were exclusive, then yeah, that's obviously not going to be perceived in a positive light. But like I said, it's best to not try to fix people, because what you're going to realize over time is that they're never going to live up to your expectations, and then what are you going to do? You're going to start seeking your expectations out in other people. You're going to try to fill the void by finding other people because she didn't live up to the expectations that she never even asked you to set for her. I talked to my ex trying to insult her and say she wasn't worth it, but somehow she didn't care and actually tried to make a convo with me. This was in mid to late February. I want to skip to now because it was just the same shit over and over. Skip to this week. It was the last straw for me and her. I snap at her once again. A big fight breaks out and somehow her friend is involved. They make a group chat and reveal a lot of things I already knew but somehow still hurt me. She was smoking behind my back, she was messing with some other dude, and in the screenshots and videos she sent me, she was smoking and I think in a car with another guy. I was hurt, but I played it off as if I didn't care and I already knew. She called me a narcissist, a gym-obsessed person, childish, and toxic masculinity motherfucker. Well, knowing myself, I wasn't just gonna sit there and let her and her friend flame me. I said I was talking to another girl the whole time just to get even with the smoking and sneaking around shit. She tells me she is a bad person, and I say that she is easily influenced, and she said that she maybe was, but it didn't matter anymore. I tell her that night to just move on and that I was sorry for everything. Okay, so I want to just point out really quickly that it seems like you're both operating from a space of pride and not humility. And I'm not saying that to put you down or put her down. I'm saying that to say that this relationship was doomed from the start. When you're both operating from a space of pride, what ends up happening is you create this strange power dynamic where you're constantly trying to get the one up on each other. And like I said, this goes right back to you harboring that resentment. You're going to have to take accountability for this situation. You were harboring this resentment, and deep down, you weren't really trying to get back with her. You were trying to get back at her. You were trying to get her back for what she did to you in the past. And this is really what you wanted. When you decided to entertain her when she reached back out to you, this is what you were essentially asking for. Now, I'm not saying that I don't sympathize with you, and I'm not saying that to put you down, to my point earlier, but I'm saying this to say that the writing was essentially on the wall from the very first time that she DM'd you, right? There was pretty much no other way that this could have gone, and I hope you understand that. I hope you understand that no matter how you approach this situation, if you're getting with somebody with whom you have that sort of past with, and you have this resentment for, it's not going to end well. It's almost always going to end in hostility. But that's besides the point. Let me go ahead and keep reading. She tells me she's a bad person, and I say that she's easily influenced, and she said that she maybe was, but it didn't matter anymore. I tell her that night to just move on and that I was sorry for everything. The next morning I wake up and she is screaming at me in a voice messages, calling me a cheater and a narcissist. Her last words were, "Fuck you, I hate you." She blocked me on Instagram and now on PSN because I told her that I was sorry and to keep on trying to be better and don't stop just because of me. Okay, I'm going to keep it real with you, bro. I'm going to keep it 100 with you right now. You sent in your dilemma and you wanted honesty. When somebody blocks you on PSN, PlayStation Network, when somebody blocks you on a video game, let them go. Just let them go. You're probably not going to talk to that person anymore. And that's for the better. In this particular situation, that is clearly for the better. You probably should just move on from this situation. And I understand it's going to take some time. It's going to take some healing work. It's going to take some shadow work. But you're not going to be able to recover from this. And I'm not saying that to be discouraging or to, like I said, put you down or anything. I'm saying that to say that when you've built up this sort of history with somebody, you're not going to be able to build a healthy relationship with them. Especially given the fact that you guys are long distance. Long distance relationships work very, very well when there's trust and communication. Consistent communication, that is. And when somebody's blocking you, that pretty much makes it impossible to have any sort of consistent or meaningful communication with her. So, charge her to the game, let her go. Regardless of what you're about to say, and I'm still going to read it, you need to let her go. Because this was not going to end any other way than how it ended here. But anyways, Jordan, I don't know what is wrong with me. This always happens to me in every relationship I get in. I think as of now, I think I am the problem, and was the problem the whole time. I don't know what to do. I miss her, and I really did see her changing who she was. I don't know if it was for me or for her, but I wanted that. She has a bad family, and she's been sexually assaulted and used for her body by her past boyfriend. I say boyfriend in quotes because she was 15 and he was 21. Alright, so again, this comes back to you trying to fix people. The reason why you have this pattern is because you are trying to fix people. Now, why you're trying to fix people, I can't tell you that. That's something that you're going to have to figure out for yourself by doing the inner work. Now, how do you go about doing the inner work? You have to look back to your childhood. Look at your parents' relationship dynamic, if they had one. And if they did, see what aspects of it maybe are reflected in your current relationship dynamics, in the way that you seem to approach potential relationships, potential partners, right? It seems like you're falling into these same patterns, which means that under all of this, you're the common denominator. And again, I'm not saying that to say that you're a bad person or anything, but what you have to understand is that generally speaking, when we look for relationships, when we look for romantic relationships in particular, we are seeking out, subconsciously that is, whatever relationship models were presented to us at a young age, generally during our formative years. That's from the time you're born until you're 8 or 9 years old. So look back to that time frame and think about what types of relationships you were exposed to. I'm going to give you an example from my life. For a while, I was anxiously attached. I had an anxious attachment style, and I was prone to chasing women. And I never understood why I was the way that I was. But then I had to look back to some of the content that I consumed during my formative years. I was on MTV and BET a lot, and I would listen to a lot of R&B music from that era. And if you go back and listen to a lot of that music and watch those music videos, you see a lot of men chasing a lot of women. Generally speaking, that's what you're going to see. And what I realized was that I was simply replaying that same dynamic in my own life. And once I realized that, I was able to develop enough awareness to properly ascertain whether or not I was replaying that dynamic so that I can approach relationships from a healthier headspace. Now, with that being said, a part of me is saying to just leave it how it is and that I deserve this. Another part is saying to me that I didn't deserve this and that she was lying behind my back the whole time. I feel betrayed, backstabbed, and stressed. I've had a knot in my stomach 2 days in a row now. Jordan, what do I do? I don't know if I really am in the wrong. I loved her and we both planned our future together, even naming our kids. I feel ashamed of myself and I'm scared that I'm in the wrong. Just be honest with me and tell me what should I do to prevent another thing like this happening. Be brutally honest. At this point, I don't care what is said to me because I know I deserve this. Thanks for reading this. It took me some courage to say this to the world. I still love her and I don't want anyone to think of her badly. If anything, I want them to say what I've done wrong. Once again, thank you for reading this and I hope you make a video on this. I'll be waiting. Okay, so first of all, man, I do want to commend you for coming out with this story. It takes a lot of courage to tell a story like this, and regardless of what anybody might say in the comments about your situation, anybody who's criticizing you or who is trying to put you down for your situation, that's somebody who would not have the courage to tell a story like this had they experienced it. Now, with that being said, you asked what you should do, and I've pretty much already given you the answer. It's all about doing the childhood healing. Basically just going down the rabbit hole of anonymous, of whoever you are. Figuring out why you are the way that you are. And generally speaking, this is something that a lot of people don't realize, but when you have this sort of dynamic, when you have this sort of pattern or tendency toward seeking out these sorts of relationships, you're also going to replay or rather project this tendency into other aspects of your life as well. So, for example, you might find that maybe your line of work involves fixing things. You like to take broken things and fix them. Or maybe not. But I can tell you right now that from that last little paragraph, that last little section of your dilemma, I can tell that you have a lot of negative self-talk going and you don't believe that you're worthy of anything more than what you've already experienced. And that's probably your single greatest hangup. Maybe somebody led you to believe at a young age that you were not worthy of love. But I'm here to tell you that you are. And the reason why I know this is because you're alive. You exist. If you exist, you are worthy of love. As a matter of fact, love is an innate part of our existence. It's the fabric of reality. It's what holds all of this together. Everything that you see around you, everything that you feel within you. Love is what holds all of it together. So, bearing that in mind, you have to ask yourself why you feel like you're not worthy of love. You're not giving the love to yourself, first and foremost, which is why you went back to that person even after what she did to you in the past. Had you loved yourself, you would have known better. And again, I'm not saying this to put you down or make you feel even worse than you already feel. I'm saying this to say that these patterns are simply projections of the way that you perceive yourself. You don't love yourself, and because you don't love yourself, you're trying to vicariously love yourself through somebody else. You're trying to vicariously love yourself through somebody else. You are projecting your love onto somebody else, somebody who you see as a project, because you probably see yourself as a project as well. And a lot of men on self-development see themselves this way. And that's probably why they struggle with dating.